Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia and I'll be with you for the next hour. As our regular viewers are aware, the free legal advice show provides you, our viewers, the opportunity to call in and ask us any questions that you have on any aspect of English law. On this show, I am able to cover a vast diverse range of matters ranging from immigration law matters, family law matters, criminal law matters. So whatever your legal questions are, please feel free to pick up the phone and get in touch with us here live at the studio. Two ways to get in touch. First of all, if you want to speak to me live on air, you can ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. So it's the landline number for live calls here through to me here in the studio. And secondly, a very popular way of getting in touch is to send us a message on the mobile number, which also appears at the bottom of the screen. So if you send us a message there, WhatsApp message, text message, it will be fed through to me here live in the studios, and I will be able to answer your questions live on air. So whatever your legal questions are, please do get in touch. We get numerous questions on immigration law day in, day out, and even before we've come on the show today, we've had our questions coming in on WhatsApp already, but as always, I can advise on other legal matters as well, so please do feel free to get in touch. Now, when you get in touch, if it transpires that your matter is quite complex and I need to take very detailed information from you, or it transpires that I need to possibly look at your documents before I can advise you properly. So if it's complex or I need to look at documents, then I will arrange for you to leave your number with the control room and I will have that more thorough discussion with you off air. Right, before we go to the messages, we've got our first caller who's been waiting for a while. Let's go to our first caller for the day. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. It's Ahmed. Actually, I would like to ask you an advice. My sister, she used to live in Holland, but they moved to UK in 2012. And in 2020, I think they got the settled status when the scheme was announced. And they've got 3 children. They are all under 18. And I just want to know how they can apply for British passport or citizenship.
I understand. And as far as the children are concerned, I take it they've got settled status as well, the same as the parents.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, right. So normally, in order to apply for British nationality, where you're not married to somebody who's British, normally you need to demonstrate that you've been living in the UK for 5 years or more, which they have.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to demonstrate that they've held settled status for at least 1 year, which they have. So potentially they are eligible to apply for British nationality. Now, the main thing is, I think there's 2 things that you need to remember for European nationals. First of all, although when they applied for settled status, they never had to meet the English language requirement. When they apply for nationality, they will need to meet the English language requirement. So they will need to do the B1 test in English, and they will also need to do the Life in the UK test as well. So that's one of the things that they need to. Have they done this, or are they proposing to do this?
They have not done it, but do the children need to do it as well?
Okay. If the children are under the age of 18, then they don't need to do it. But if at the date of application for nationality, they have reached the age of 18, then they have to do both tests, even though they've done, they've been to school here, they've done GCSEs or potentially A-levels, etc. They would still have to do the test. So it's the age that you look at. Anybody who is 18 or over would have to do the English test, the Life in the UK test. There are some exceptions, but in this sort of a typical situation, the English test at B1 level would have to be done, and the Life in the UK test would also have to be done. So that's one of the main things that they would need to get out of the way. After that, they are able to apply. the application is made for adults on Form AN. Even if you go onto the Home Office website, you would be able to find that Form AN. And the way the form has now been designed is that adults with children under 18 can make an application on one application form as well. So the main issue is going to be for them to sort out the English test.
Okay. Just one last question, please.
Sure.
I think you have explained it very well, and I'm very thankful to you.
No problem.
Do the children need to apply with their parents, or they can apply independently?
They can apply independently as well. That's not a problem. The parents can go first, and the children can do it later. But the parents would have to apply first.
They have to apply first.
Yeah. The problem that you might have is if neither parent is British, but the children just go for nationality, they won't grant it in those circumstances. At least one of the parents should have applied for nationality first.
Right.
There's a Home Office has a discretion where one parent has nationality, the other doesn't, but they're going to live in the UK, then they can grant it to the children. But one of the parents has to apply for nationality first. When the children become adults, then the position is different. As an adult, you apply in your own right. Now, the only other thing that I would mention here, and it's specific to European nationals, is sometimes they do look at your history over the last 10 years. So, Europeans who came here, I know they came in 2012, they were meant to be exercising treaty rights. They were meant to be working. So the Home Office can sometimes look at your immigration history to see on what basis you were living in the UK as a European national. Is that something that's going to present a problem, or have they been?
No, I think because since they have come in, they have worked over here.
Fantastic.
So I don't think there will be a problem.
And in terms of level of absences from the UK, is there anything significant?
No, they have continuously lived over here.
I don't think there's any problem, and they can quite easily make the application. If they get the English tests done, B1 test and the Life in the UK test, it's fairly straightforward. The whole family could do it together, or one of the parents could go first and then the children can do it. Sometimes what happens is, out of the parents, one might struggle to pass the English test, Life in the UK test. If that's the case, then the one who can pass it goes for nationality first, and then the children can apply. The other parent remains with settled status or indefinite leave to remain. But I can't see any problems the way you've described the situation.
Okay, that's great.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed for your advice. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much for your call indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Call on, and I think this is quite a common matter at the moment. We have a lot of European nationals who have been living in the UK for a considerable period of time. I know we've had Brexit now, and free movement has come to an end. So it's difficult for new people to come to the UK from Europe, but we do have quite a lot of people in the UK, and this issue of nationality is arising quite frequently. We've got another caller waiting. Let's go to our next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम
जी वालेकुम सलाम जी
मैं पता नहीं क्या कोई पूछना था तुसा को कोई क्वेश्चन इसना कोई
जी ठीक है आप जी आप पूछ सकते हैं जी
हाँ वो हमारी नूह सी तो 8 महीने रही मैं सदी सी मारे पुत्रा दा 8 महीने रही तो 8 महीने सी बाद जरा ना फिर पहले 8 महीने भी रही तो कुल्ली रही मारे पुत्रा नाल ता कदा कदा इथा बैठा उस मारी लत अजे ये गल कंधा ना बजना तो सर फटी जाया सु ते अपर भी जानी सी तपर भी दे लता मारनी सी कदा क्या करनी
आंटी आप उर्दू में बात कर सकते हैं मुझे मेरा पंजाबी इतना अच्छा नहीं है उर्दू में आप बात कर सकते हैं आंटी
अला तुसी उर्दू ही बात करते
जी उर्दू में मुझको समझ पड़ जाएगी जी
हाँ तब बहुत मेरे मुंडे ने बहुत तंग कर दी सी
जी ठीक है समझ गए
कुड़ी बहुत तंग कर दी सी फिर 8 महीने वो इतना रही फिर मुड़ी 8 महीने सी बाद वो नसी गई फिर कम करनी सी तो फिर नसी भी गई तो मुड़ी ऐसा को नहीं पता लगा तो बाद ही पता लगा जे शामिल है जे वो गई थी सोसू वर्कर नहीं होंगे उन्हें को चली गई
जी
तो हूँ वो कहती मैं 4 महीने हो गए उसके आवा हूँ कहती मैं स्टे अप्लाई की थी भी उसनु स्टे लब जैसी
आंटी ये होता है इसमें कि समटाइम्स ये हस्बैंड वाइफ में झगड़ा होता है ना, तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे आपने बताया कि वो जो लड़की थी वो चली गई घर से, तो इसमें क्या होता है कि लड़की के पास तो वो वीज़ा तो होता है ना यूके का, वो 2.5 years का, तो वो खुद अप्लाई कर सकती है कोई और वीज़ा के लिए। सो समटाइम्स वो कोई काम के वीज़ा के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, या तो स्टूडेंट की वीज़ा के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, या तो समटाइम्स वो कहते हैं कि घर में उसको कुछ मारा गया, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस हुआ, सोशल वर्कर के पास वो जाते हैं, उसके सपोर्ट लेते हैं, और वो उसके बेसिस पे समटाइम्स वो ट्राई करते हैं कि घर में मुझको बहुत तकलीफ देते थे, मुझको मारते थे, ये था वो था, तो वो बेसिस पे भी समटाइम्स वो अप्लाई कर सकते हैं। असल में इश्यू इसमें ये है कि अगर वो चली गई तो आप सिर्फ एक काम कर सकते हैं, आप होम ऑफिस को बता सकते हैं कि ये दोनों का रिश्ता खत्म हो गया। ये जो
बताई छोड़िया, पर उन्होंने मेरे पुत्र नु मुनी मैसेज किया जे तुम्हारा भाई मैसेज है नहीं लभ गया, तो फिर अगू किया उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं। जी
जी आंटी, ये है ना कि आप जो कर सकते थे ना वो आपने कर दिया, कि होम ऑफिस को बता दिया कि ये खत्म हो गया, बस। आप जो कर सकते थे आपने कर लिया। अभी अगर वो कोई एप्लीकेशन डालती है ना डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस पे, कोई और बेसिस पे, असाइलम पे, जो भी है, तो होम ऑफिस आपको कुछ नहीं बताएंगे। फिर होम ऑफिस उसका केस देखेंगे और फिर वो खुद डिसाइड करेंगे कि उसको कुछ वीज़ा देना चाहिए या नहीं। आंटी जज़ाकल्लाह आपके कॉल के लिए। हम अभी थोड़ा सा ब्रेक के लिए,
मतलब जरा ना आसाई कुछ बंदे दसिया
जी आंटी, हम अभी ब्रेक पे जाने वाले हैं। तो आप ऐसे करो कि अगर और जो सवाल है ना, तो आप हमारी जो ब्रेक खत्म हो जाएगी इसके बाद आंटी आप फ़ोन करो, क्योंकि अभी हम ब्रेक पे जाने वाले हैं। But generally speaking, question on where a relationship has broken down, one of the party leaves, what options do they have, what can you do? We'll look at this in greater detail after we come back from our short break. See you in a bit. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, you can ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. And as always, and this is very popular, to send us a message with your questions, you can do that by sending the messages through on the mobile number which also appears at the bottom of the screen. Just before we went on break, we had a caller who was speaking in Urdu. For the benefit of our viewers who weren't able to understand, the question really related to a breakdown of the lady's son's relationship with his spouse who had come from abroad. I'm assuming the spouse had come from Pakistan. She lived with the son in the United Kingdom for some 8 months or thereabouts. There's some marital difficulties and then she leaves the marital home. Now, Auntie who called in understands that she's made some kind of application to try and stay permanently in the United Kingdom. Now, that is unfortunately, it's not an uncommon situation. Relationships break down, obviously, where the parties may both be from here, or it might be the case that somebody's from abroad, but that does happen. And what I will do after I've dealt with my next call is explain what the options are for the parties, for both sides. But let me take the next caller who's been waiting for a while. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother. Brother, I got a question.
Yep.
Basically, I had applied last week for my travel documents.
Understand.
And I have done everything online, but I have a little bit confusion. Some people are telling me you have to send your biometric with it and your whole decision with the two pictures. But the only thing I did, I have just sent my two pictures and my name on the back side on both of them. Okay. That's what I did on all. This was what I did. Is that all right, or shall I do anything further, please?
Okay, so you know when you came to the end of the travel document application form, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head what it says at the end, but what did it say in terms of what you needed to submit? What did it say at the end when you came to the end?
It's like they say mandatory document, something like that. They said two passport photos.
Yeah.
And on the back of your photos, provide your name, and that's what they say.
Yeah. So
apart from that, everything is like I have submitted everything. They give me the reference number with it, and that's why everything has been done online. But I have only seen two pictures with my name on the back side.
That's fine. Look, from my recollection, you don't send your passport in. You don't send your BRP in anymore. You don't send those documents in. There's only a limited number of documents that you send in, and I think you're right. Possibly the passport photos that you need to submit. So once you've done that, I wouldn't worry. If the Home Office is unclear about what you've sent, or they want additional information from you, they'll request it from you. So don't worry.
Okay, so they will request.
Oh, 100%. They won't just refuse the application. The way they deal with applicants is they email the applicants and request this information.
Because I was thinking they may find everything like on my BRP number. I give my BRP number they asked me about my BRP number, so I gave them that online.
Okay.
So I was thinking they may find everything there, what documents and what visa do I have.
Yeah, 100%. They'll bring all the history up, and they'll know what status you have. And certainly, if you've got refugee status, there isn't a problem in obtaining a travel document. They're never going to say to you, approach your own country of original nationality and approach them for something. They're not going to say that to you if you have refugee status. So I wouldn't worry. If there are anything's unclear, anything's missing, they will email you.
Okay, just one more question, please, brother.
Sure.
When you submit, does the process, they're going to let you know step by step, or the only thing they're going to know you when your passport is ready, they're going to let you know on that time?
Yeah, good question.
They let you know step by step?
No. So if your application is all in order and they don't need anything from you, then you will simply get your travel document in the post. You won't get anything else.
All.
You will simply get the travel document in the post. Or you might get an email at the end saying your travel document has been posted to you. So they won't contact you acknowledging the application or anything of that nature. Generally speaking, they won't, unless there's a problem with the application and they need some clarity from you. Otherwise, it's just right at the end. They will, I think, let you know that the travel document is on its way, and then you simply get the travel document in the next couple of days.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Jazakallah. Thank you very much for your call. Thank you. So just before the break, we took a call from a lady who'd been calling about her son who'd had a marriage to what I assumed was a lady from Pakistan. She'd come to the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, the marriage had then broken down. And what our caller was trying to ascertain was what's likely to happen. She was under the impression that the daughter-in-law, daughter who's married to his son, who'd left, she'd made some kind of application to try and stay in the United Kingdom. So that's where we got to. And what I was advising our caller was that in those circumstances, the starting point is this, that the girl, the lady, the man, whoever in the relationship has left the marital home, whoever's from abroad who's left the marital home, at the time of leaving, they will not be overstays in the United Kingdom. They will have some kind of visa to stay in the United Kingdom. So they are legal in terms of they have the legal right to reside in the United Kingdom, and they also have the right to continue working, continuing to access the NHS, etc. So they are not overstayers. So they do have a right to live in the United Kingdom, to work in the United Kingdom. Now, if the sponsor, in this case, the son, if he was to inform the Home Office that the relationship had broken down, then generally speaking, there are exceptions, generally speaking, the Home Office will curtail the visa of the person who's from abroad. So in this situation, it was the lady who's come from abroad and got married here. So potentially, the Home Office would curtail or cancel that visa. But that process, similar to a lot of different applications which are with the Home Office, that process takes a long time for the Home Office to deal with. It is not unusual for it to take, for the Home Office to take a good couple of months for them to look at your request for the spouses from abroad for their visa to be curtailed. So during that time, they are not overstays, they are legal residents in the United Kingdom. And even when the Home Office makes a decision to curtail somebody's visa, it's not an immediate curtailment. They will normally give the person who's from abroad approximately 2 months' notice that, your visa is being curtailed and it will finish on this date. That gives the applicant the opportunity to apply for some other kind of visa. We've got a caller who's been waiting for a while. Let's go to our next call. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Dear brother, thank you for calling.
Hello?
Hello, brother, you're live on air.
Yeah,
what's your question?
Live on air. What it is, right, is I've used some solicitors.
Okay.
And what it is, right, every time I use these solicitors, right, they've been doing my paperwork on some property and then closing the office down and moving.
Okay.
And the government keep taking the files, right, and I don't know who to speak to and how I can get this resolved.
Okay. So your transaction at the moment, is it in process at the moment, or is it a transaction which is completed now?
No, the transaction is still left hanging. I've used about 8-9 different solicitors, and every solicitor does certain works, right, and then closes office and disappears.
Okay, all right. What I would then advise is, in terms of getting the file, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, maybe that you've had some dealings with them.
I wrote to the legal ombudsman, and I'm still in limbo.
So what you've got to find out is, if the firm has closed down, what you've got to find out is which firm has taken over the files for that particular firm that's closed down. So normally, if the Solicitors Regulation Authority intervenes into a firm, if it intervenes into a firm, it will then nominate a firm which then takes over the practice and takes over the paperwork. So
but I've actually done that, right? But they moved from the solicitors that we're using, and the firm closed down, and the files, right, were left on hold, right, for 3 years. They didn't give me the files back.
Right.
Now they give me some other solicitors, but those other solicitors have passed the paperwork on, right, and still nothing's been done.
All right.
And it's been 7-8 years, and I'm still on hold.
Gosh, that's an extremely long time. I think all you can do is complain to the
SRA. Say again?
You can only complain to the SRA. What I would suggest is, if you do instruct a firm of solicitor and you've had this problem, you instruct one of the bigger, sort of more long-standing firms, where they've got a bit of history to them.
Like who?
It just depends in your area, doesn't it?
I live in Bradford.
There'll be a number of firms that you can instruct.
I don't know who to trust. I don't know who should I go to. I've been to. Okay.
What I can do is, if you leave your number with the control room, I can give you a couple of suggestions. This matter that you were dealing with, is it a property matter that was being dealt with?
Yeah, it was a property matter.
That's fine. No problem, brother. If you leave your number, I'm sorry, I'm trying to rush you because we're coming to a break.
My Yeah, my mobile is 07.
Brother, if you text your number in, please, on that mobile number that we have, and what I will do is I'll try and recommend a couple of local firms to you that should be able to assist you. Inshallah. Brother, I do apologize for cutting the call short. We are just about to go for a break, but brother, if you are still listening, please send a message in with your name and your number, and I will find you a local firm that you can go to. We'll be back in the next couple of minutes. Inshallah, see you then. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host, Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, please ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. Alternatively, you can send me a message on the mobile number which also appears at the bottom of the screen. I know we've had a number of callers that have been waiting for a while just before we went on break. So I do apologize that I've not been able to get to your call sooner. But as always, to speak to me live on air, please do ring back on the landline number which appears there at the bottom of the screen. Had a number of questions coming in on WhatsApp. Let's look at one of the questions that come in. Looks like it's relating to an immigration matter and more particularly in relation to delays in terms of processing applications. The question from our viewer is as follows. A viewer says, Assalamu alaikum. Can I ask you a question? I made an entry clearance application for my wife to come to the United Kingdom. That was made approximately 5 months ago. I still haven't heard anything from the Home Office. How long do they usually take to make a decision? Okay, now, a very common question, and I can appreciate that it has been quite a while since you made the application. I can quite understand that you are now getting impatient, and we deal with these matters on a daily basis, and I can quite understand the frustration on behalf of our clients and on your behalf, which is caused by the delay in processing your application or wife's application. Now, how long, a good starting point is how long does it normally take when you make an entry clearance application to sponsor your husband or wife to come to the United Kingdom? Generally speaking, in my experience, applications are decided within 3 to 4 months. That seems to be the general processing time. You count the time from when the passport is handed in by the applicant abroad and the biometrics are enrolled. So you count time from then. In my experience, it tends to take around 3 to 4 months to get a decision. It can take longer. So this sort of guide, 3 to 4 months, that's not a definitive answer to the question, how long does it take? It's just a rough guide to how long most applications take. Now, some applications do take longer, and I would say there are probably 5% of applications that may take slightly longer. It may take 5 months, 6 months for a decision to be made, but I would say only about 5% of applications probably end up being delayed, if that. So there is a small percentage of applications where there is a delay. Now, why is there a delay with some applications? It can be for a whole host of reasons. Normally, what seems to be happening is the Home Office wants to investigate the application more thoroughly, and that's what's causing the delay. I'll look at that in greater detail after I've taken our next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
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 Hi, brother. You're live on air. What's your question?
Okay, it was regarding a visit visa, and there were some reasons for refusal.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you can take me through it, brother. I can hear you clearly. If you take me through what the question is, inshallah, I'll try and assist you.
Sure, thank you very much. It was for a visit visa for my mother-in-law.
Okay.
and they basically said one about that it was some property papers that we put in that they said mainly the basic of the story was that they said that your mother-in-law who will come here, she will not go back to Pakistan because she's got nothing to go back for.
Okay, all right. So, on that point, that she won't go back, she's got no ties. Specifically, what did they say? Did they say she's on her own at the moment? She's got no income, no children under 18?
Basically, there's no income. One is no income.
Yeah.
Another is that the family property, who was given to her by her husband, who's now passed away, she's given it to her sons that live with her.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was a bank account that that she had for many, many years. It had a very little bit of money in there, less than £1,000.
Okay.
And there was a deposit of 100,000 rupees in there. And they was asking how did that came about.
Yeah.
And basically they're saying that it's noted that there are cash deposits entering this account. The source of these funds is not
clear. Yeah.
From what you've given this. And I'm not satisfied that the funds contained within this account are genuinely available for your exclusive use.
I understand. But that sounds like a standard refusal of a visitor application.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's a standard. Everything that you've said there is standard. Now, the problem now is you can't appeal against the decision.
Sure, that's what they said.
There is a way of challenging that decision, but I wouldn't recommend it at this stage. There is something called serving a pre-action protocol letter on the Home Office saying their decision, is wrong, essentially. And then if they don't agree, you can potentially judicially review the decision. But the problem is, before you go down that process, you've got to make sure that you've actually dealt with all their concerns. So I think, I think it's probably not, we don't agree with this, but they are entitled to say that we're not clear what the source of the funds are in your bank account. We say we're not hiding anything, but they're entitled to raise that. So my personal view is this, and I'm not sure it's going to work, but my personal view is you make another application again.
Okay.
And you deal with each point in detail. Now, so the bank account with the money that's gone in, you have to demonstrate where that money's come from. Each and every transaction we've got to demonstrate. Then I think you've got to emphasize that, okay, fair enough, mother-in-law might be on her own, but there is a son there, he might have a family there. So you've got to emphasize that there is a family for her to go back to in their home country. Now, apart from that, I suspect there may not be anything else that we can point to, because mother-in-law's on her own, no independent income, no dependents under the age of 18. But I think if you try and get these things right, and if they simply then say that you don't have ties to your home country, the standard, no dependents and no partner and no income, potentially I think at that stage you can challenge that by saying, but the application is credible. There's nothing dishonest about the application. If you take that approach, every application would be refused. 99% of elderly people from countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh wouldn't be able to come. So it can't be that you simply refuse it for that. We haven't lied in the application. So my view is their legitimate concern about transactions in the bank account showing up on the bank statements, I think they have to be addressed first. Once you've got a clean application and they refuse it, I think it might be worth, there's no guarantee that it's going to work, it might be worth challenging that.
Sure. And also it says, just one thing, it says, given the deposits entering your account being unexplained, I'm satisfied that you are financially dependent on your family in the UK additionally.
Yeah. But to be honest, I've never really understood that refusal, because if somebody is dependent on a UK sponsor, and a UK sponsor, let's say, sends £100 every month, so they've got a sort of an independent source of income coming in. They come here, they go back, that source of income continues. So they turn it on its head and say, well, that means you're going to come here and live with these people. Well, actually, the argument is that's continued for a long time, and it will continue after they go back. So if it is the case that money is being sent from here, I would say, yes, it is being sent from here. Here's the proof. This is how money is transferred. The person who's transferring the money says, look, we have been transferring for X amount of time. Mother-in-law is going to come for a short visit. When she goes back, we'll continue doing that. So she can live there comfortably because we will continue to support her. I think you've got to turn it around and deal with it that
Sure.
way.
Do you think, obviously, in your professional opinion, the best thing is to put in a new application? Is that the best thing?
I think you have to, because there's no appeal. Even if you went down the pre-action protocol route, at the moment you've got no chance, because the concern that they've raised, a judge, whoever looks at it, is going to say they're entitled to raise that concern.
Sure.
So I think that has to be dealt with first.
Okay. If I was obviously, I know obviously you're giving at the moment advice. If I wanted to contact yourself and obviously give you the paperwork, would you look into it? And
I could certainly look into it. What I would try to suggest to you first is try and get a proper application in first properly. And then if you get the refusal, it's worth looking at. Or by all means, if you leave your number with the control room, I will send you a message with my details. But I think it does require a second application.
Sure, but I was thinking, because the first application I done obviously on myself, I rather obviously if I do another application, I'd rather go through somebody, because I think then obviously the points you'll probably address, I probably won't know about.
Okay. The country where they're applying from, have they got a reliable agent that they've used there, or has...
No, I done it all from here, from England.
Okay, all right. Look, if you leave your number with the control room, happy to give you my details, happy to overlook the application for you. That's not a problem, give you some pointers. My only concern about visitor application, I'll be completely upfront with you, and this is my concern in practice. Okay? Even when lawyers do a proper application, even then the chances of success are never very high.
Sure.
This is the problem. And I'm always reluctant to say to clients, come to us, we'll do it. They spend money on these applications. And I know that the chances of success, however we do it, and even if it's a brilliant, thorough application, is never going to be great. But brother, if you leave your number with the control room, I will send you a message with my details, and then I'm more than happy to assist you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, and we can obviously go. Yeah, and then what I'll do, I'll leave my details with your control room.
Yeah, and I'll send you my message. I'm happy to look at it to assist you to see whether you can make it stronger or not. Yep.
No, thank you very much for
your
help.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Thank you. Jazakallah. Thank you very much for your call.
Okay, well,
unfortunately, a very common scenario, the problem with getting a visitor application approved, it's becoming very problematic at the moment. But what we can do, we're going to be taking a short break, and this is something that we can have a look at after the break. The problems with visitor applications, how do you make it stronger? How do you challenge it? We'll be back in the next couple of minutes. See you then. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host, Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, please ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. But as always, you can send us a message on the mobile number as well, which is there at the bottom of the screen. I know we've had a number of callers who've been calling in before we went for our break. I do apologise, and you've been holding on for a while. Please do call back, and I'll try and assist you the best way I can. Now, just before the break, one of the questions I was looking at was the delay in processing entry clearance applications. And I was saying that generally speaking, entry clearance applications do take between 3 to 4 months to be decided from when the passport is handed in. Some cases do take longer. What can you do? But there are really two things that you can do if there is a delay. It may not mean that you get a quicker decision, but at least it means that you're up to date as to what's going on, that the case is still being processed and it's not been lost anywhere. One is you can send an online request for an update. The other is you can go to your local MP as well. I'll look at that in greater detail after we've taken the next call. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you for calling.
I got a few questions about my case.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, my dad got the British passport. Yeah,
Sure.
so he's here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and we applied for the asylum.
Okay.
Right. Well, one of my sisters, she's born here.
Okay.
Right, and the other two is born in Pakistan, but they came here as well.
Okay.
In 2011.
I understand. Yeah.
Right. We applied for the asylum that time, but not with the related to the dad. We applied for the separate.
Okay.
And then in 2018 or 19, yeah, we applied with our dad. Yeah. But now we just saw the letter. So they asked us to give us a proof if you have any other proof or anything. Like, so we can they asked to submit the proof before the 15th of February.
Okay, all right.
Right. Well, we already gave him the proof, like all of our study certificate or everything. And my dad is he had a stroke in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, they took our DNA test as well.
Okay, all right.
And now just I would like to know do I have to give any more proof or anything else?
So, your dad, was he initially granted refugee status or not? Did he get... I know you said dad got nationality.
He got a British passport.
Okay, all right. So,
yeah.
So in terms of the children then, your brothers, sisters, how many of you applied for asylum then in the UK?
My mom and two sisters and one me.
Okay. So, and how old are the children, the two sisters and yourself? How old? Just give me a rough idea of the age group is.
My youngest sister is 21.
Okay.
Then me is 25.
Yep. Okay.
And my other sister is 27.
Okay. All right. And in terms of your application, when was the application submitted? Was it a long time ago?
First we applied in 2011, yeah.
Okay.
We applied for that time. And then after that was a separate.
Okay.
We didn't get any decision from there. And
Okay.
in 2018, when my dad had a stroke, yeah, then we applied with him.
Okay. So, when you applied again in 2018, did you just submit...
It's not 18, it's a 2019, sorry.
2019. So did you submit a fresh claim at that stage, or...
Yeah, with the fresh claim with the dad, yeah.
With a fresh claim, no? So it wasn't a new application, it was a fresh claim, no? So was it mum, your two sisters and yourself, you all submitted a fresh claim in 19?
That's right, yeah.
I understand, yeah? And it's been about, 2.5 years now, and they've now come back to you. Look, it looks like, and the problem with fresh claims is there is a huge backlog in processing fresh claims, but it looks like now that you've waited 2.5 years, they're now looking at your fresh claim. Now, in your fresh claim, and you may not want to give too much information on air, what were you saying in your fresh claim? What had changed? What were you saying?
As for that, my dad had a stroke, yes, so no one's here to look after him.
Okay, I understand, yeah. And which country are you from originally? Is it Pakistan? Pakistan, that's fine. All right. And how is your dad's health at the moment, his condition? Does he need somebody to look after him?
He needs someone at the moment who look after him.
Okay, all right.
He can go do his stuff himself, but still his condition is not that good, so he can live alone.
Okay. I mean, what I would do is if they have asked for up-to-date information, I would get medical evidence again, evidence from the GP at least, explaining what his condition is like at the moment, what he needs help with, and who is providing that help at the moment. So as a minimum, I would do that. Does he have hospital appointments at the moment, or is that not the case at the moment?
He's on medications.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So as a minimum, you should get a detailed letter, not a 1 or 2 paragraph letter, a detailed letter explaining what your dad's condition is like. Now, if the doctor can't do a detailed letter, you might want to consider whether you should get a letter from an independent doctor, in a way you have to pay for an independent report. You might want to look at whether it's worth doing that, a thorough, a more detailed report explaining what his condition is like and what you are doing. Because it looks like, from what you've said, your fresh claim is based on the fact that you are looking after your dad, a British citizen, and your dad would struggle if you weren't here looking after him. Now, these cases are actually difficult to win, or difficult to get approved. It's not that easy but as a minimum, you would need strong evidence to back it up. Medical evidence would be a start. I don't know how good a letter your doctor can do, but that's a start. Does your dad have any carers at the moment coming in to assist him at all, or not?
No.
Okay, all right. I think looking at where the evidence might come from, I think it has to be from the doctor. Your dad could do a statement, you could do a statement as well in terms of what you are doing. I think that's all you can do. The problem I see is this, that dad's here, he's British. The problem then is, it's not just the one person who's applying to stay here. You've got mum, 2 sisters and yourself. So potentially you've got 4 people who are saying that they are here looking after dad, which might be difficult to persuade the Home Office on. But look, you are where you are. As a minimum, get medical evidence to confirm his medical condition and what's wrong and what you as a family are doing to assist him. I think that's what you've got to do.
Right. Okay, thank you. So one more thing. So can he live in with us or not? We got like a house from the, what you call it, conference.
Sorry, you've got a conference, did you say? Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, so can he live with us or not?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch.
Legally, is he allowed to live with us or not?
Sorry, I didn't catch what you were saying. I do apologize. You were saying you've got...
does he allowed to live with us legally?
Is he allowed to live with?
With us.
Leave what with you?
With my dad.
Sorry, is your dad allowed to live with you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
100%. So in terms of where dad resides...
We are apply for the asylum.
No,
so we're living in
No, there's no problem with that. There's no problem at all. I wouldn't worry about that. The Home Office isn't concerned about the living arrangements as such. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying, but don't worry about the living arrangements. It's medical evidence that you need. That's the key here.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you very much, brother, for your call.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the current process that you're in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.
Jazakallah. So just before we took the call, we did have a number of messages coming in, and I do apologise if I haven't been able to deal with all the messages. I do need to finish off the question on delay in processing the entry clearance application. It does take 3 or 4 months for a decision. Sometimes it does take longer. What can you do? There is an online form that you can complete and submit, and which I think there's a small fee to pay when you submit that. You get a response back from the Home Office and they confirm whether the application is still being processed or not. If you don't get very far with that, what you can then do is approach your local MP. Now, when you do approach your local MP and get your MP to write to the Home Office, that doesn't mean that they're going to make a quick decision now. And, if they are going through some kind of process, investigating the application or scrutinizing the application, I should say, they're going to give up on that. But what it does mean is that you'll get a slightly better answer if the MP gets involved. They will look at seriously where you are. It's more likely that it may get progressed. If it's stuck somewhere, it's more likely that somebody will look at it and and progress it in the normal way. But if they are scrutinizing the application, they will continue to do that. Now, what causes a delay? Typically, in my experience, it's maybe they've looked at the financial documents which have been submitted, the sponsor's financial documents. You're calling your sponsor over, sponsor is showing that he or she is working. They may be scrutinizing that. They may want to have an interview on the phone. They may want to check things with HMRC. So that might be one kind of investigation that they're doing. Occasionally, they might see that there's a problem with certain documents and they want to verify the document with the authority which issued the document. For example, there's an issue with the marriage certificate. They want to contact the registrar and verify things. So sometimes there are additional things that they are looking at. It's when they've initially looked at the application, they've got some concerns and they are looking at those concerns. That's causing the delay. But look, don't be too disappointed. Some cases do get delayed, but in my experience, you do normally get a decision, even in worst case scenario, within 6-7 months. So hopefully, inshallah, you will get something soon and there won't be a significant delay from here on. Unfortunately, that does bring us to the end of the show. Inshallah, we'll be back next week at the same time. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.